Welcome back to the studio. You're watching Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Shona Bhattacharya. Here are our top stories in this edition. Targeting Christians once again, Al-Shabaab claims responsibility for the deaths of 6 people in northeastern Kenya. The militant group has promised more attacks in the run-up to the parliamentary elections in Somalia. A forgotten anniversary. 20 years ago today, the Lemera hospital was attacked in the Democratic Republic of Congo. At the time, it was the bloodiest attack of the First Congo War. And from selling corn to survive in rural Uganda to world chess champion, Disney's latest feature film, Queen of Katwe, is getting its European premiere. We'll be bringing you a sneak peek. Claiming another attack on non-Christians in northeastern Kenya. Somalia's Islamist Al-Shabaab militants say they killed 6 Christians in the town of Mandera early Thursday morning. Though the region is home mostly to ethnic Somali Muslims, the attack targeted a gated residential building that housed non-locals. The Shabaab have gone after Christians before, including at Garissa University in April 2015, where they killed 148 people. Julia Steers, our correspondent, joined us earlier from Nairobi. She gave us the latest on the attack.
6 Kenyans were killed in the attack on a workers' boarding house in Mandera, and according to the county governor, Kenyan Defense Forces saved 27 others in the compound, but the attackers were able to escape back over the border into Somalia. As you said, the attack targeted Christians, which is a common tactic of the militant group. And there's been somewhat of a lull in attacks since the Garissa University attack, but historically, this northeastern region of Kenya has borne the brunt of Al-Shabaab attacks within Kenya. Today, Al-Shabaab media claimed credit for the attack, and Kenyan security sources say that it looks as though the attack had been planned for some time.
Now, Somalia is set to hold parliamentary elections in the next few weeks. Can we expect more attacks from Al-Shabaab in the run-up to that vote?
Well, Al-Shabaab has declared war on Kenya as long as Kenyan forces remain in Somalia as part of an African Union-backed troop there fighting Al-Shabaab on the ground. So in terms of the threat against Kenya, that remains relatively high, but the attack today really didn't change that. As you said, the more acute threat is really within Somalia itself as the country prepares for the first democratic election in over 2 decades. These are scheduled to take place at the end of November, and Al-Shabaab has already vowed to wreak havoc on the election. We've seen them increase their attacks in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, on soft targets there. They said they will continue to target voting sites and government buildings, and intelligence sources here in Kenya and diplomatic sources in Somalia say it's highly likely attacks in Mogadishu and elsewhere in Somalia will increase in the run-up to this electoral process in November.
Zambia's main opposition leader has been released on bail. Hakainde Hichilema pled not guilty to charges of sedition and unlawful assembly. He and his deputy were arrested earlier this week and accused of speaking to a crowd without a police permit, where he reportedly urged supporters not to recognize the election of his rival, President Edgar Lungu. Lungu won just over 50% of the votes in the August election. Hichilema went to court over that result, citing irregularities, but the court rejected his case. A forgotten anniversary. 20 years ago to the day, in the hospital in Lemera, in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo, was attacked. Hospital staff and patients were killed. The deadly ambush in the South Kivu was the first large-scale attack of the DRC's first war. It was investigated by the United Nations, but is rarely remembered in public despite its lasting effects on the region. Our correspondent brings you this report from the site of the massacre.
With a heavy heart and a strong UN escort, Dr. Mukwege comes back to Lemera Hospital. The world-famous Congolese gynecologist who ran the hospital in 1996 was away the day it was attacked. Today, victims and families still wonder what happened that day.
What we hope is that one day we will know the truth, that one day we will know what really happened. These people who were here to help others, why were they killed? And the patients, sick, laying in their hospital beds and unable to move, why were they killed? We also want justice to be served and for those responsible to answer for their crimes.
It's a 3-hour drive from Lemera to Bukavu, the South Kivu province capital city. The editor-in-chief of a local newspaper remembers covering the attack in 1996. She was one of the first to arrive on site.
There was blood everywhere after the massacre. It smelt like terror, like hell. It was a very difficult story to report on. It took a lot of courage. I remember my entire body was shaking and I couldn't do my report correctly. It's tough to be a human being and a journalist, telling yourself you need to be professional, hide your feelings, but then your body won't stop shaking.
The attack was blamed on men from Burundi with no apparent affiliation to any local armed group. Today, many questions remain unanswered and historical records have gone missing.
Some documents have disappeared, especially documents relating to different massacres. We used to have a lot of documents through our local offices, but every time someone comes to see these documents, since we don't ask for any guarantee, sometimes a few pages disappear. Sometimes the entire document goes missing.
The massacre of Lemera Hospital remains a forgotten episode of the First Congo War. In 20 years, it is estimated that several million people have died in conflicts in the Great Lakes region.
And Dr. Denis Mukwege, featured in that report, is in the running for the Nobel Peace Prize. The recipient will be announced on Friday. A first step towards reviving its tourism industry. Tunisia welcomed a cruise liner on its shores for the first time since a March 2015 jihadist attack that killed 21 tourists in the capital. The 310 passengers of the German-operated luxury ship got a warm welcome. They were greeted by dancers, camels, and a band of soldiers playing trumpets and drums. Mary Columbell has the story.
A festive welcome for the passengers of the Europa as they arrive in La Goulette near Tunis. The luxury liner is the first cruise ship to dock here since last year's terrorist attacks in the Tunisian capital.
We are going to visit Carthage, and I hope that I will be completely charmed by the beautiful country of Tunisia.
The harbour master hopes that this is the first of many ships to come here.
Most of the people in this village have been unemployed for a year and a half. We hope that with the cruise stopping here, things will start up again. This represents a good message to other companies too. It means that Tunisia is ready.
Navigation companies suspended their Tunisian stopovers in March 2015 after 20 foreign tourists, most of them cruise ship passengers and one policeman, were killed during an attack on the Bardo Museum in Tunis. And later that year, another attack in Sousse forced dozens of hotels to close. On Thursday, authorities were on high alert for the arrival of the Europa.
All possible security measures have been taken. That's all I can say. The modus operandi in such moments is absolute vigilance.
These travellers are only here for a day, but they represent hope for Tunisia's tourism industry. Visitor numbers have dropped by 54% since last year, but several cruise ships have already planned stopovers for December and next year.
An uplifting true story brought to the silver screen. Disney's Queen of Katwe traces the rise of a young rural girl in Uganda to world chess champion. This weekend is the film's European release, a few days after premiering in Kampala. Here's a sneak peek.
It's an unlikely setting for a Disney fairy tale. But Katwe slum in Kampala is where Ugandan chess prodigy Fiona Mutesi was born. And it's here that the film Queen of Katwe, based on her life story, was made. Fiona's brother Brian explains what life was like for them growing up here.
The landlord could come and knock. She wanted money, and we never had such money.
This is the man behind Fiona's success. Robert Katende gave up a career in engineering to teach the children in this slum how to play chess. Katende believes that the discipline and strategy he teaches through chess help his students cope with the many challenges they face. Fiona arrived at his club by chance. Like some of the other children at the academy, she was homeless and living on the streets of Katwe.
What really was so captivating on my side is her determination to survive. As a young girl, because it's rare to find girls in the slum, they are always timid. Because of the environment, they are so marginalized, so they don't think they can do anything. But she's one young girl who was determined to survive for her cause.
As the film premiered in Kampala, Robert and Fiona are side by side on the red carpet. For Fiona, the film has been life-changing.
There are a lot of things that I've never experienced, like the red carpet, and the audience was so huge, and also it was too much. Even the movie, my first time to watch it was so emotional, like I couldn't believe it.
As the real Queen of Katwe returns to normal life, her incredible story will continue to travel the world.
And that's it for this edition. Do stay tuned. There's more news coming up on France 24.